Hello, this is the Dr. Vibe Show. This is the Epic Vibe Show with Dr. Vibe. And I am Dr. Stephen Schwartz, aka Dr. Vibe. And we are here for another episode. Episode number 11 with my very special guest, amazing partner, and core team member of Bioharmonic Technologies, Miss Brielle Bataille. Thank you and welcome so much for being part of our lovely show here. You've been part of this really since day one. So thank you for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm excellent. Thank you for asking, Dr. Vibe. I'm so grateful to be here and to get to share a little time talking to you about all of the epic vibes and epic adventures we've been having lately. We've been on quite the tour and lots of awesome things have been happening. So it's just so awesome to be here and love the number 11.
I figured you'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
We're very much into numerology and into fashion. That's like becoming another part of the show, which I like. You know, sporting the eyelet custom sunglasses from Coachella. Oh, and you're wearing your amazing new pendant from who are new sponsors? Special, awesome connection, and all kinds of amazing things going on.
Yeah, it's just super awesome to get to go on these adventures, and we're always running into such cool people, and they always have such amazing fashion, and I think that's really been one of my favorite parts of the journey is just kind of seeing what people are vibing with right now in culture and art and fashion, and that's been such a big part of my career and my journey, with Manifestation Media, my blog. So my blog is actually started with a different name, and I started as a photographer actually, and I started in Denver in 2011 taking pictures at the Ogden Theater, the Bluebird Theater, and I remember just really loving like going to the Ogden and seeing people like Jimmy Cliff, and he had like this full sequined outfit, and I think I just was so inspired by some of my first experiences going and seeing music and seeing how these amazing artists dress. And I know that all these events that we've been doing, it's just like as much as it is a festival, it's a fashion show. And I totally believe in all of life as kind of a fashion show. The world is a grand stage that you get to show off. And so I think you're very into that. I noticed that you dress very vibey.
You know, thank you. So I was at that Jimmy Cliff show at the Fillmore.
Of course you were.
Yeah, we have some overlap of years in Denver, even though we didn't know each other before, which I think is really interesting. We have a lot of the same friends and connections, the Colorado vortex. As we get to know each other more, we find out that we were at the same shows, but we weren't vibing, at least not at that time.
Well, it's interesting. I was, younger, and you were. And I think you were in a different. You were in a different space. Like for the whole time I've known you, you've been, really focused on developing this technology. And back then, I think you were doing something a little different. I'm not sure 100%. Other than I know you're a chiropractor, but it sounds like you also were innovating some other technologies like the
biofeedback machine. The ASA balance.
And it's really interesting. One of our mutual friends, Gregory Hogue, who that's what I'm wearing is my Metaforms pendant. Gregory Hogue was mentioning, when I mentioned you initially to him, just, because I worked in his booth at the Conscious Life Expo. And when I mentioned your name to him, I think it was the biofeedback that triggered his memory of who you were. And so it's cool to be with you as part of this new incarnation. And I love the name of the product, the vibe. I mean, and just What's interesting is about my past life in Colorado is I was very much known as this mermaid. my old company was called Glassy Mermaid, and I was doing glass art, and it was very ocean inspired. And I think one of the other synchronicities.
Living in the mountains.
Yeah, living in the mountains. I was this mountain mermaid.
You're a mountain mermaid. The double M.
I was the mountain mermaid.
The double B was the double M.
And that's actually a really interesting thing that you bring up, because before Manifestation Media was my name, that was actually a name of my business that I had kind of
Mountain Mermaid?
Mountain Mermaid Marketing, or Mermaid Mountain Marketing. I kind of was playing with the idea of going with either of those two names. And so it's interesting, I chose Manifestation Media because I felt like there was this new wave of energy coming through, and I had done a lot with the mermaid thing. I had felt very, close with that energy as I was creating art that was very ocean inspired and Hawaii inspired. And my mom's from La Jolla, California, so I kind of grew up going to the beach, have always kind of had this very ocean essence, and kind of felt really close to the ocean, even though I grew up in Austin, far from any ocean. And
your name is from a town in New Jersey.
Well, so that's actually an interesting thing to think about, is Brielle is this beautiful town right on the Manasquan River. And I think that that's actually, when I started looking at a map just last week of Brielle is this place where the river meets the ocean. And so one of my favorite places I think I've ever been on the planet is this place on the Big Island. And I'm not 100% sure the name of the place, but it's this beautiful
Hawaii,
place.
They got like weird names.
It's so many beautiful places in Hawaii like this, but I think the idea is it's this place where this river meets the ocean. And so when I think of my name, I think of this kind of harmony of fresh water and salt water. I grew up and we went on this fun adventure to Ojai this weekend, and we did some adventuring along the river. And I think you probably learned about me in that experience, because we haven't done a whole lot of river adventuring. We've done a lot of beach stuff, but I totally feel really comfortable, like, skipping on the rocks across the river and kind of like wading in rivers. And growing up in Austin, I was very much a river and lake kind of girl. And so that, while mermaids don't quote unquote live in a river or lake, I think that's part of the energy of growing up near the water and feeling really close to the ocean. And it's interesting, I feel like that's my vibe. It's very.
Well, you got the mermaid vibe.
And it's interesting because you met me at the beach.
Yeah, where the river meets the ocean.
Even though you lived in Colorado for 16 years and I lived there for 8 years, and we lived there, I think, for 5 years. I think it's interesting that you met me at the beach, because it's kind of like you met me in my element. You met me in like, who am I really?
Well, that's where I see you. That's where you're seen.
So
different vibe, different times, and I mean, it's been documented about my different vibes that I've had while I've been here in California the last couple of years, and it's all about the vibes. In fact, really interesting, today I got a Facebook post. I just agreed to be part of this new brain compilation that's featuring Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton and Dr. Porter and a list of other really high-level brain specialists in the healthcare industry. So anyhow, Bruce Lipton's one of my early mentors, early teachers. And I remember in 2004 seeing him in New Mexico, which is also a far place away from any water. And he lectured on his book, Biology of Belief. And I remember saying to him, you just validated everything that I have been thinking over the last couple of years, over these last 4 days. And anyhow, today he posted a meme. I know you're really big, and you're like a meme master.
I'm a meme maker.
You're a meme maker. You're a meme master.
I'm a manifestation meme maker.
Yeah, you're another MMM, triple M. So it said on it with a picture of of Bruce Lipton, it said vibes.
Of course.
And so I responded to it. I guess Bruce, I didn't realize that Bruce is a Facebook friend of mine. I should have tagged him on this one. Him and I, we've met through mutual circles over the years. And it's funny because I think I have his personal and his like professional one. I wasn't sure which one to tag, but I posted it and I said I always felt that my work are the applied sciences of his theories. And I thought that it was really interesting that the meme that said vibes and it had like a description of a quote of his, I thought it was interesting that my technology, they're called vibes. So now I'm vibing with Bruce with my vibes. Vibrational, individualized body enhancement systems, vibes. And so, Bruce, I'm really excited to be part of this book with you. I'm really happy that I have someone like Brielle that's been in my life on so many different levels since really the early days of this new adventure into this most recent incarnation of bioharmonic technologies and the Vibe 3 series, which has been met by very popular response.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite things is really the mermaid vibe. And even though we've had some interesting experiences with mermaid vibe as of late, I love that color and that aqua blue. And for those of you who may or may not have seen it, it's actually the cover photo on our Facebook page right now. So if you're curious about what the mermaid vibe is, check out the cover photo on Bioharmonic Technologies. But it's this beautiful aqua mermaid blue, and I think it's an interesting...
With sandy beach, tan sides to it. It's really mermaidy.
It is mermaidy.
And it's very sexy. It's very fashionable.
And I painted my room that color multiple times growing up. And so that color has been coming in for me. It's a very calming color, and I think color is so much of an amazing, talking about fashion and vibes, and like, I think the science of color and how different colors create different energies. And I really like that this most recent incarnation of the Vibe 3 series is this silver color. And I remember that day we were driving and we were looking up like what are all the different energies of colors. And I remember, one of the kind of the calling in of the silver is divine feminine and this magic and this kind of like healing and kind of an illumination energy. And I really like that we were able to bring that energy into this company in this latest incarnation, because I really feel like that it's kind of a metaphor for my entire life right now. And you might, speaking of fashion, I'm wearing this black dress, one of my favorite black dresses.
It looks
but I have
really good on you.
A white sweater over it, and this is kind of how I feel right now. I'm dressed as a representation of how I feel, and I love this sweater. It's really cozy, and my friend Lotus, actually, the one who got me the job with the Aloha Festival where I met you, she gave me this before she moved because she was going to Hawaii. She's like, I don't think I need this sweater. It was kind of chilly today, so I'm wearing it. But really, I like the duality of black and white, and I like the idea that, and it's similar to the evolution of the Vibe system, which has classically been black, and now is silver and even aqua. And I'm really excited to see maybe, what other colors might come into the picture as we continue to innovate and continue to be vibey with our colors.
Well, stay tuned, because we are actually going into our next phase of manufacturing. The biggest blessing that I've had since the beginning of the year, since the first round of the Vibes came out, have been how quickly people have been buying them. And I remember when I left Colorado, I wrote my book and I said, I'm going to move to California to launch my book. And I wanted I said I wanted to sell 10 million books. And really along this journey, I ended up moving to San Diego, and I launched my first company, and I really got wrapped up manufacturing these sound lounges. And that was my second generation company. My first generation was before then. And we kind of got off track with that. But I remember Ed Bender, my first mentor, we were talking about like how many I would sell for him in a month. And then I remember the goals that we had set on how many we would sell for my other company, which we never hit that goal. Never. Not once. That's not true. We hit it twice. The two months when we sold our 10 packs. And then on top of everything else. But beyond that, we never hit our sales goals, which led to part of the transition out. But our first role here with this company was, A, can I make a product, again, on my own? B, is somebody going to want to buy them? And then C, how can we innovate to all the things that's in my mind that I wanted to do with my second company that I was never really invited to do? And I'm happy to say that obviously sales is what makes a company grow, but it's also a sign that people like the product. Mm-hmm. And it also is a sign that we're vibing. And because the movement of energy is a passive process. And I'm happy to say that we've hit a sales goal of mine that I had even before starting my other company. We've hit it 4 months in a row. And I would also like to say that, Brielle, you have a really huge part of being a part of that, because you've built the website, and you've created our store, and you've been doing our social media, and you've been helping been putting out the newsletter. So really, if you're seeing what you're seeing forward, behind the scenes, Miss Brielle Bataille has been very influential in creating that, and is giving me a voice and a platform to really do this. And what I'm also proud about is the new opportunities coming in for you through, I think, people seeing what you're doing through me, and now you're being offered new opportunities as well too, and that's exciting.
Well, because who doesn't want to manifest epic vibes? I mean, for their company and for their life. I mean, look, there's a lot of businesses out there, but that's one thing that I've actually prided myself on with the company I created, Manifestation Media, is that the business owners I choose to work with, I choose, and some of them I feel like they kind of choose me, but it's for a very specific reason, and it's a very specific vibe. And there's a really important distinction to make between creating abundance and bringing in money, and creating a culture, creating an energy, creating a fashion, being a leader of a movement. And I think that as I start to kind of look into like, who am I, right? We put people on the vibe, and we put them on the song, Who Am I?
Who Am I? That's off my most recent album, The Journey, produced by one of my dear friends, Sol Salam, who's I believe in Austin right now, actually at a huge record fair. This guy has over 5,000 vintage albums, mostly of the Brazilian jazz genre. If you're looking for like some of the most rare, eclectic Brazilian and world albums, contact me and I can connect you with my dear friend Sol Salam. He helped produce The Journey with me, and Who Am I is one of the tracks off of that album. I think one of the most powerful, potent tracks on that album.
Yeah, and that's a track that I I just kind of more recently started to kind of put myself on, and it's a program I'm starting to really work on, and I think
because it begs to ask the question, who are you?
right, and I'm finally at the point in my career and my life where I've done some real work on myself, and I've started to really do some deeper healing and some deeper learning, and really started to ask myself the question, like, who am I? What am I here to do? What is it that what's my soul mission? And when I look at these different kind of stops on the road of life that I've been on, I really do see a lot of groundbreaking and movement building and creating of not just companies, but culture and creating portals for abundance, but that are founded in like true passion, true creativity, and an actual, like, how do we go from here we want to throw a party to we want to plant 1 million trees with our party? And that's actually, looking back on my time, I worked for a while with the Arise Music Festival in Colorado, and I loved working with the Arise Festival because I felt really connected to the mission of uplifting the world through music, which is very similar to our mission of harmonizing humanity. It's just a different way of looking at it.
I remember the first years of that festival. What was the property where they had in the beginning?
The Arise Festival is held on the Sunrise Ranch.
Sunrise Ranch, yeah, Sunrise Ranch.
Property
Really
in Loveland,
amazing there.
Colorado.
Yeah.
And I love Loveland, and my brother lives there, and so I do get to go back and visit, and still love going to the ranch, really just to go to the ranch because it's such a beautiful property.
Yeah.
But what I was really, the connection I was drawing there was really about the fact that I do feel like Arise is more than a festival. It's a movement. And how did they create that? Well, they didn't just throw a party. They're doing it with a purpose. And, on a ground level, it's for each ticket that they sell, they plant a tree. And so for me to come out of school with my degree in entertainment and events management and to go straight into being, a marketer and promoter and office manager for a festival that has they're making a real impact with what they're doing, not just on people's consciousness of like how we can party with a purpose, but also with like actually physically we're planting trees. And I think of your company, having that same similar kind of, it's a new company, but it's not just a product we're selling. It's not just an experience we're selling. We're selling a mission. And
Which is what? What's the mission?
Harmonizing humanity.
Using sound, light, frequency, and
vibration.
See? She's trained well. She's trained well.
So, and I really believe in the mission, because I've seen how quickly the mission has actually transformed me. And I'm one of those people who I think of my whole life as a transformational festival in a way,
That's what I always say. I feel like my life, why do we need to go to festivals when my whole life is a transformational festival?
And it's interesting because when you look at my human design chart, which is something that you and I have connected a lot on, and we haven't talked, you haven't really talked a whole lot about human design on this show, but we're super into it and we talk to a lot of people about it. And so when you look at my human design chart, one of the only gates that I have is the gate of transformation. And so I think that, there's a reason why I'm in the position I'm in of having the ability to work with a lot of different people by being self-employed and maintaining that independence and being able to take different gigs and allow things to come in and say yes and say diakachimba to different things. And I think that the reason for that is because I'm somebody who can help transform and create that transformation for people. Just my being, that's part of who I am. It's like part of like who back to the who am I? I am somebody who catalyzes transformation and who creates portals for transformation. Because how do we sell a product or an experience? Well, we have to create an image that people want to buy. And I don't think that it's just about how something looks in a picture that creates that energy of I want to buy that. I truly do feel that it's showing up in life and in love for what you're doing and having that passion, that creativity. That's what creates the vibe. That's what creates the energy of magnetism that draws people into what you're doing and allows them to connect and really connect to the product and to the magic of what is the vibe.
Yeah.
And so I think of what we're doing in such a quantum way like that. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, I'm not just...
Do I know what it means?
We're not just selling a product. We're selling something so much more.
So I think about this show, okay, the Epic Vibe Show with Dr. Vibe. We spend very little of this show, week in and week out, really talking about our products. We just bring on really epic people, and we have epic conversations that we have met along the vibe journey. People that we vibe with, people that either own, that have chosen to own this technology, or people that want to buy technology, or people that are involved with either in music or in festivals or in the healthcare world or anywhere really in between that's been vibing with us. And I think about it, is this like the right way of really marketing his product through the show? But then I come to the point where my clients, when they buy, they're like, you're not going to forget about me, are you? You know, after and you know what I say to them? No, of course not. It's the only time I ever use no in my relationship, because I'm not a no person. I'm a yes. I'm a yes.
You're a diakachimba.
Yeah, diakachimba, which is Samoan for believe. Yes. I'm not sure if we're allowed to. I guess it's Facebook. I'm not sure. But yeah, we are, because people are, the vibe is a delivery system, but it's not about the vibe. It's about an experience of people ascending. There's a new class of research that I'm really proud to be a part of, that actually I believe I've coined the phrase, and I was doing research on this last night. And I actually started writing about it last night. And I'm not actually going to reveal what the name of it is, because it's so early on, but I'm actually going to, my entire chapter in the Happy Brain book, featuring Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza and Dr. Porter and myself, Dr. Vibe, Dr. Stephen Schwartz, is going to be really focused on this whole premise and concept. But what I will say is that this technology really works with clearing cellular memory, and it works with ascending your nervous system. And it talks about, we think about, we always talk about the reptilian brain. Okay, I've been spending a lot of time on thinking about our bodies are programmed for survival, which is true. I mean, but really one part of your brain is really focused on survival, and it's the brainstem and the midbrain, and it's the core inner workings that really allows us body to breathe and to have all of our internal organ systems and all those things. And there's a lot of connections that run through the brain. But then everything else that's on top, like the biggest, I don't know what the percentage is, the other 75% of the brain is all the new brain that's been evolving. And so I think we're constantly evolving. And if we're constantly evolving, then that means that we're transcending from a place of being survival mode into thrival mode. And so a process of our biology is so much more than just adapting and a reflexive reptilian brain to survive. It's more about how do we ascend, and then what is the neurological connections to our body that allows for that. And I believe that this technology, the vibe systems, are direct delivery systems. And then it's not even about the vibe. It's about what are the programs that you play through the vibe. Because I know a lot of my dear friends, we're all connected to the theory that music is medicine. And you're playing me, who were we listening to last night? And you said it's called, no.
Oh, I was showing him, so you said something about EDC.
Yeah, we're talking about EDC.
And yeah. I was like, oh, Above and Beyond.
Above and Beyond.
Because Above and Beyond has classically been like, when I think of like EDC music, I think Above and Beyond. Because those guys have like 2.5 million followers on, I mean, they're wildly famous, big in the electronic music. And I think what I was kind of trying to show you is just a video of what the vibe of EDC is like. Yeah. But also, I think Above and Beyond is really interesting because they have a very specific, like their regular show is called Group Therapy.
Group Therapy. Yeah.
And so that they definitely with that name they think their music is medicine. And I think a lot of people do, and
well, I mean, how many people did we see in that video? I mean, looked like there was a lot of people.
There was like 100,000 people
that's what I was thinking.
at EDC, and this is like, I mean, EDC is so. And what's interesting about that is that's kind of where I started in my journey before I got into transformational festivals. Like my first events that were electronic music were. I went to EDC. I think I went to the one and only EDC Dallas. Like I think that they only were.
That was a good move for them. Get out of Dallas.
Well, Dallas has actually got a huge electronic music community, and I think that I'm not really sure exactly what happened, but it was definitely like a monumental thing for Dallas to get this EDC festival, and they had these huge names. I mean, like Paul Van Dyke and Tiesto and Above and Beyond. I mean, these artists have, really become like bigger, larger than life. I mean, electronic music has just been, so exploded from even just 10 years ago. I mean, it's really interesting to think about. But I think what's also really interesting is this idea that you've actually helped imprint into my understanding since I met you, is that there's this idea of dissonance, and a lot of electronic music is dissonant, and some of it is really harmonic and resonant and beautiful. And I've noticed that since I started to use the vibe, I have more of an affinity to music that's 432, that music that's really healing and feels really good through the vibe system. Even when I'm not on the vibe, that's like what I'm reaching for. And so it's kind of like you've changed, I don't want to say changed me, but you've changed my taste a little bit.
Well, I haven't.
The experience has.
The vibe has, because it's one of those things where you don't know, what did it say, you don't know what you got till it's gone, or what am I trying to say, ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. You just don't really know until you start experiencing something else. And that's what they say a lot with drugs. Like the first time people do like heroin is they have such this incredible high that they'll never, ever get again. Ever. They can't. Because that's the drug. But they chase, what I think it's called chasing the dragon. And they constantly are chasing after it, and that's what causes addictions, because they have that imprint of that experience.
They're always trying to get back to that.
And they're always trying to get back to that. But what's so great is that you can find that. For me, I've taken my fair share of substances over my lifetime. I'm in my 40s, and I've been to college and festivals and things like that, and I'm in experimental stages. But I can tell you that I'm still in those circles now. And the biggest high that I really have is through harmonic resonance. It's the highest expression. The highest expression of yourself creates a natural high with no side effects. And in fact, I'd love to share a part of our journey that we've been on over the last couple of weeks. So we've had really 2 tours since our products have come. I'd like to just recap. The first phase of our tour was from January. It was January and February. We've been going on these like 2-month tours and basically selling out of our product, and then I go into manufacturing mode, and then we go back into tour again. And I've just been really blessed that it's a great tour, because that's what's been starting and launching this company and building the momentum. But we went through, I don't know if you remember, we went to Vegas, and then we came back here to LA. All right, we are live.
Are we back?
And we are back. That's so funny.
Hello. Literally.
Hello, Dad. If you're watching Facebook Live.
He's clearly not.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe he's saying, oh my God, I need to call and see what's happening. So this is what I love about live shows. I mean, we have guests come on. We've had a couple last-minute cancellations. We had a couple people, hey, can we come on at 8:30? Can we come on tomorrow? And the answer to them is no. It's a live show. It's a live stream show exclusively on Bioharmonic Technologies Facebook channel, 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, every week.
And we're going to be going on a tour, so let's talk about our upcoming tour. So you.
Well, I wanted to talk. Actually, the one thing. Okay, we talked about the past. It doesn't matter. Let's not talk about the past. But I did want.
That's what I'm like,
Yeah, I did. But I did want to actually talk about. What I did want to talk about was this experience that I had with one of my dear friends from my past, who I met at Cosm, Chapel of Sacred Mirrors, at the winter solstice, I think it was 2015 or 2016. I think it was 2016, and he was the headliners. Future Primitive, who's another large international electronic music producer, and he was headlining the event, and we were neighbors at Cosm, and we became really good friends. And once we connected, we spent I think the rest of our time together, and we've been connecting really on and off over the years. And he was the headliner for Portal to the New Earth, and he spent basically all before his show and after his show in the Vibradome.
So cool. It was so much fun.
So thank you.
It was such a
Thank
fun
you, Future
time.
Primitive, for spending time with us. But what I wanted to share was we were at Cosm, and we were there with Alex Gray, legend, visionary artist. One of the highlights of my career was me doing it is interactive workshop in front of Alex and Allison Gray, and they're live painting as I'm playing my music and lecturing and having people come up on my second generation sound lounge. And then the next day we were all invited to a VIP party at the Gray's private art studio. And Allison, who's an amazing cook, cooked this amazing spread, and Future Primitive and I are sitting there, totally dropped in, hours of conversation, just super interested. He's a very interesting guy, really genuine and authentic. And of course, I think I can say this on Facebook, Alex Gray comes up and passes me a joint that he just rolled.
Yes.
And it's passing around, and
highlight of your life.
well, and I was just like, here's Alex Gray, like, passing me this joint. Like, I'm definitely gonna smoke it. But I remember passing it to Future Primitive, and he told me he goes, he passed. And and he said, he goes, I'm from Eugene, Oregon. He goes, and I grew up in that culture. And he goes, I just know that the highest expression of me is not with that. And he passed. And it was really funny. And I felt just from, and I took a hit because Alex Gray passed me his joint. I thought that was a special moment. And the funny thing was, I remember how things went kind of sideways for me. I had a weird interaction with Allison after that, and things just got a little weird.
So there was the before, and
yeah,
then there was the after.
And then I was just kind of stoned, and then
okay.
and the energy was different. And not everybody has this experience, but this is my personal experience with that plant. And what I feel is everybody has their medicine. I think that's really the key. Everybody has their medicine. Some people's medicine is ayahuasca. Some medicine is cocaine. Some people's is LSD. Some people is I really like hape. Hape is really some like cannabis. Some drink alcohol or other things.
I've noticed since I started vibing that I definitely don't smoke weed as much as I used to, and I don't think about it as much either. Living in Colorado for 8 years, I was also very ingrained in the culture of weed, and I noticed also like I just don't work as well now because I don't smoke as much. So when I do, I get kind of stoned, and I don't think it's a good thing for me to do before I work. So it's only something I will do. I really feel the best thing for me to do is to do it after I work or like before I'm going to go to, if I'm trying to sleep. It's a great sleep aid. And it's interesting you're bringing up Alex and Allison Gray because that when you say the highlight of your career, I also feel one of the highlights of my career so far happened just in September. I think it was right like the week before I came out to Kauai and met you, was when I got to work in the green room at Alex and Allison Gray's event at the McNichols building in downtown Denver. They did this awesome show with desert dwellers, and it was super, super cool to get to be like the person in charge of, escorting them to their green room. And what I think we created...
Their dream room would have a vibe in it.
Their dream green room. And I think that's what we created at Portal to the New Earth with Future Affirmative, was like a dream green room.
Yeah.
And it had like green, I think we took some pictures, and it was like green lighting, and it really, I was like, this is what, like when they say green room, like this is what I kind of feel like it's like this vision I've had. But
you know why they have green rooms?
Why?
You know why green rooms are green?
Why?
Because it's a relaxing color.
But so many green rooms. So working in entertainment, and having been in the green room, they're hardly ever green. And you're like, why is it called a green room? But that's a really interesting thing, is like creating a green room vibe.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a really specific energy that you're trying to create.
Well, that takes us back to the mermaid vibe, which is green.
Well, it's aqua. It's like a turquoise.
Well, it's a shade of green.
Totally.
It's more green than blue.
It is. It is. It's funny. I think of actually that color as the perfect harmony between green and blue, and that's one of the reasons why it's my favorite color, because I have a hard time like green, no, blue, no, but that in between is just like this really relaxing and calming energy, and so I hope that I think what we're both reminiscing on is our amazing experience with Alex and Allison Gray. I hope that we get the chance to be in his green room. So if anyone out there is,
it's time to go back to Cosmo.
We wanna come vibe with the Grays.
We want to come vibe with the Grays. Actually, we'll make a gray vibe.
Well,
actually,
a silver. I mean, the Silver Surfer is.
Well, what I would like to actually have would have Alex Gray custom covers. Like maybe like a whole cover would be like one of Alex's art pieces, and we can make one for Allison's with her special language. I was always very drawn to her language and Allison. Anyway, I think we got off topic, or maybe we're ready to flow.
We got on this little rabbit hole of ideas and.
This is, I think, okay. So I'd like to circle back around because I remembered, so forgive me, but the lightning bolt that you're wearing, go to sovereignalliance.com. Sovereignalliance.com. And what's so special about what they make is mathematically and harmonically tuned instruments. And I have something called a Ma-Ra key, which is like the new Ankh, and it has a whole description of all the different harmonics that are programmed and cut into it based off of different angles and things like this. And this one, I believe, is centered around heart opening. And it looks really good on you, by the way.
Thank you. I got some compliments on it at the party this weekend, and I felt really awesome and special. And I've actually, the lightning bolt, the symbolism of lightning has been coming in quite strongly for me. So I felt it kind of synchronistic to end up wearing this, as that symbol has been coming to me.
So sovereignalliance.com, check that out. They have all kinds of really amazing energy holograms. In fact, the president or the founder of that company is going to be on the show, I believe, next week. Cool. And we're starting to get booked up actually for a lot of these things. And if you want to see some pictures about Portal to the New Earth, or about the Brain Summit, or about any of the things that we've been on with the last 2 stages of our tours that have just passed, we're just releasing tomorrow our latest newsletter. You can sign up through our website, www.bioharmonictechnologies.com. Follow us on Bioharmonic Technologies, Bioharmonic Technologies Facebook page and Instagram page, and all of these really cool
Before
things.
we end, I think we should talk about what's coming
we're
up.
not. This is not over.
Well, I just want.
Yeah, this was just a little transition.
But I think we should talk about what's coming up for Bioharmonic Technologies. So we've been on this amazing tour. We've
The Vibe
been
tour.
all over the place. We were in Vegas, and we've been in Ojai, and we've been in Joshua Tree, and we've really kind of
We've been in LA.
San Diego, LA.
San Diego.
I mean,
Been amazing spots.
we even went. I mean, we did a demo that one time in Santa Barbara
Yeah,
at
we went to
that
Santa
awesome
Barbara.
salt place that we love, and
Salt Cave.
yeah,
Salt.
we've really been kind of doing it, and just really exploring and checking out cool stuff. And we were in Palm Springs, or desert. The desert.
We're at Coachella.
We're in the desert.
Yeah.
and all these amazing places, and we've been mostly in California though.
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting ready to.
Because we've been launching the vibes. There's a lot of energy. You know what they say 90% of the fuel used to launch a rocket is up for liftoff.
I see. Yeah.
And then once you get into orbit, then it's passive, and then you just correcting, course correcting in order to take you where you need to go. It's all off momentum. So we've been building momentum, and like I said, I couldn't be any prouder. I couldn't be any prouder of my core team. Of, if I can pull this from, was it Snoop Dogg when he got his star on his Hollywood star? He said, "I'd like to thank first and foremost myself."
You've been working really hard, Dr. Steve, and I really appreciate that for a lot of reasons, but first and foremost, I appreciate it because I'm a workaholic. So, they say takes one to know one. Like, I really see how much time and passion and love you're putting into what you're doing. And I really respect that. And it makes me more inspired to work with you and to do my job and to continue, everything I'm doing in my life, not just in work, but also in personal development, because I think that's one of the things I really see in you is you're not just, a guy that's making a technology. You really walk the talk. You're really doing it. And I see you always doing things like setting intention. You're very intentional in the way you live and the way you create. And that's really inspiring for me because was kind of awakened to this idea of like a very meditative and intentional way of living, and kind of this idea of creating your vision and really writing it down, creating a vision plan for your life and for your time, and creating a vision board, and all these different tools and techniques kind of are secondary to the intention and the I see the wheels in your head spinning sometimes, and I just go, wow, what a brilliant mind. So it's really an honor to work with you, because you help me to open up those other parts of my brain. And that's interesting, because we were just at an event called the Brain Summit, where I really actually learned a lot about my brain. And so it's really great to be part of what you're doing, because it's not just a physical reality, it's also like a very mental and intelligence. And I posted something a few months ago, it was just like a meme that says, intelligence is sexy. And I truly feel like your brain and the care of your brain and your mind is your greatest asset, and your greatest muscle that you should work, right?
Yeah, well, just like anything else, yeah. So, well, thank you for those kind words, because that is really what this is all about, and I do feel super inspired at this moment. I feel more inspired and more on point and more creative than I ever have in my entire life. And I was really creative. I've been thinking a lot back over the years when I was in Colorado, when I was in my highest creative space. And this was probably when I was like 10 years ago. And I was fresh out of school, and my world was opened up to energy medicine. And I had this very strong yes about like what was happening, and I felt that I needed to go down the rabbit hole and really start exploring everything that there was around the energy medicine, about quantum physics, and about all these things. It went on for many years, and I was seeing patients, and it was my laboratory, and we were getting these incredible results, and I was scratching my head and like I'm trying to figure out what was happening. And then really, since moving to California, there's been, from disorganization comes organization. And I moved off my Venus Sun line to my Saturn line, and based off of astrocartography. If you don't know what that means, go to astro.com and fill out your profile, and go to travel and figure out where the strongest energy influenced planets are around the world. And I didn't realize that I moved right on, slap dab on my Saturn line, which is called your teacher line. And really, I felt like I got smacked any little deviation, I was smacked around there. LA, I feel better. But the cool thing about being on your Saturn line, if it doesn't take you down, it makes you stronger, and it allows you to step into a higher expression and fortifies who you are because your Saturn line is all about life purpose. It's a life purpose line, and that's actually really why I like having my company still anchored and shipped out of San Diego. We have a really strong foundation in San Diego, and even though I live up in Venice Beach, Los Angeles, California, and it's really cool up here, and it's where all the creatives hang out, and I'm really blessed that I'm able to be part of this new Happy Brain book. And I'm able to share a chapter with some of the largest brain icons of my time, and people that I've read their materials, that I've been fortunate to meet and reconnect with. So that's coming. So we need a little bit of a pause, in the action to kind of get caught up in those things. But yeah, let's talk about. I'm really excited about this next leg, because we're coming out of the womb. We have no shortage of business and of customers and of leads just in California alone, and internationally. Just if we never went anywhere, this would be fine. However, our nest, we're being pushed out of the nest, and we're being called back to my original nest, back to the East Coast, back to New Jersey, where I was incarnated in this life. And really since there's been a transition out of my old company to new, I haven't been back to see my family, and I miss my family very much. And the end result is that we end up in New Jersey by the end of June.
And it's interesting because you have this strong connection to New Jersey, and I also have a very strong connection to New Jersey.
Well, duh, you're named after a town in New Jersey.
So
Brielle, New Jersey. Does anybody know where Brielle, New Jersey? Please type in if you know where that is.
So, and it's, my father was born in New Jersey, and I had two great grandparents that lived late into their 90s. My great grandmothers lived late into their 90s, and I would go visit them in New Jersey as a young girl, and we would go on these fabulous little tours of, we would go to the beach and go to Point Pleasant, and we would go to Brielle, and I'd take a photo in front of the sign. Oh, it's my name, And I just remember having such beautiful beachy memories there, and I'm really excited to go back and to kind of feel out the vibe there on the East Coast, because it's a completely different energy than California and completely different than Colorado. It's a totally other world. Yeah.
Well, and we started the show talking a lot about electronic music, but what we're going to be going back to see is we're going to go see my personal favorite band. Those of you who follow me know that I'm a big Fish fan. Not F-I-S-H, but P-H-I-S-H. And I've been listening to them since the early days in college, and I've been following them ever since. So electronic music, last couple years is intro. I'm going to get a chance to go with my sister, hopefully sisters, and a lot of other friends on the East Coast at this Camden shows. And that's our midterm break, because before there we're going to be in Las Vegas, we're going to be in Salt Lake City and in Utah, we're going to be in Colorado, and we're going to be in Kansas City, and then we're going to be going out to the East Coast and then coming back and working our way through. So if anybody that's watching this is wanting to know where we can set up, wants to follow us, where we're going to be setting up vibe zones, or has anyone that they want us to stop by and see anywhere between Los Angeles and Kansas City, please message us, message me, go through Bioharmonic Technologies or Dr. Stephen Schwartz, DC, through Instagram or Bioharmonic Technologies, or through my Facebook, personal Facebook, any of these things.
We'll be posting a list of dates and locations, and so if you are interested in vibing with us, having a private in-home vibe demo set up, or even setting up a small event for you and your group of friends that you're interested in showcasing this technology that we're touring with.
We're touring.
We would love to hear from you, and we'll also be on the road for this show during that time. So, we're looking at maybe who might want to be our special guest on the Epic Vibe Show for those weeks. So
the Epic Vibe Show is leaving Marina Del Rey, and we're going to be taking the Epic Vibe Show on the road. And so we're going to be doing our featured show at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, wherever that may be, whatever time zone that may be. We're going to be staying true to our 7 o'clock slot here in Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to be hosting, I'm sure, the most epic of people that we meet along our journeys. So definitely stay tuned for that. There's a lot of really amazing things happening. We're in a little retraction space right now, because we've been coming out, and we've been, Brielle, you mentioned about your human design, you talked about your gate of transformation, but you're a projector. As am I, and if you don't know what a projector is, we need our energy, we need our sleep, we need to get caught up, because we've been putting out a lot of energy, and it's been going really fantastic, and I personally have been getting a lot of energy just from the receptivity that we've had of everybody that we've come in contact with being able to share the vibes. We're like the Vibe Keepers. And it just feels really, really good and very special, and I feel very, very blessed. And we have only a few of our vibes left in stock before this round closes out. And if anybody's watching and is interested, I would encourage you. We're going to have a price increase, and there's going to be some new product increase additions coming into the next round. So if you want your vibe before the end of the month, before we sell out, I would highly encourage you to go directly to our website, www.bioharmonictechnologies.com, and access our store, which lovely Brielle has created, and or reach out to us.
And just before we sign off, Steve's next workshop is actually at a festival that I've been helping to co-produce and co-facilitate in Colorado called Sonic Bloom. And I'm really excited to be heading back. Tickets are flying right now for Sonic Bloom. Car camping passes, the price actually goes up tonight. And if you're interested in coming and seeing us in Colorado at Sonic Bloom, Dr. Vibe will be doing a workshop on quantum physiology and what is it exactly? What's the name of your work? It's
Quantum Physiology and Epic Vibes. We're going to be bringing Epic Vibes to Colorado. It's a homecoming. I've been seeing some of my Colorado friends liking our post about me coming back. I love Colorado. I spent 16 years in Colorado, and it's my Venus sunline. And I've been casted out only to come back at a new level with new technology and reconnect with a large community. That was my original community, and it's going to be there. And there's some other events that are coming together that we're not at liberty to post at the moment, but they're going to be coming through Las Vegas, through Salt Lake City, and also different various places through Colorado and in Kansas City. And if you're interested in tapping into the Epic Vibes, just reach out and follow us.
Come vibe with us.
Come vibe with us. But I also would really love to, we're neglecting the most recent thing, that huge news. So this Friday and Saturday, here in Los Angeles, at my favorite venue, Brielle and I, we went to the opening night here, and this has been our personal favorite venue in all of LA. The Wisdom, which is in the Arts District, downtown Los Angeles. We are going to be we're going to be setting up a full-on interactive vibe zone. VIP tickets, if you don't just want to watch the Jimi Hendrix experience. First time ever at the Wisdom. I know they've been doing the Pink Floyd experience, and they've done some other tribute experiences going on.
There's a lot of sound healings happening.
Of sound healings.
There's one with Torquem G coming up.
One of my good friends, Torquem.
And the Sonic Divas, and there definitely are a lot of queued up events that are coming to the Wisdom that I'm also not at liberty to share, but
Yes.
I have insider information, and you are definitely going to want to keep your eye on the Wisdom calendar, because it's going to be epic vibes happening there.
Well, and we're excited to go and actually plug in our new vibes directly into the Jimi Hendrix experience this Friday and Saturday. So if you want to come, there's specific seating that you can buy, different ticketed seating, and there's going to be limited vibrational vibe seating for this experience. So go to Wisdom and buy the VIP ticket and come down and come vibe with us. And this is going to be a regular experience for us, and we're just really blessed and happy to be vibing with the Wisdom once again.
And with Jimi Hendrix. I mean, Jimi Hendrix is one of my favorite all-time rock legends, and it's Randy Hansen he's a legendary, very well-known Jimi Hendrix cover artist. And so if you're interested in that, definitely reach out to us and we can get you hooked up.
I think before we sign off, what's triggering through my mind is Jimi Hendrix. Like in the 60s, in the late 60s, here was a man that played electric guitar on the left side with the strings backwards and had sounds coming out of this guitar that had never been heard before. And it's really interesting because I was born in the 70s. You were born in the
90s.
In the 90s. And so by the time you get introduced to Hendrix, you've heard a lot of other music that has been going on generationally for at least, let's say, 20 years, 20 or 30 years of his. And so it's interesting to hear the first influence of somebody sound like that. You almost take it for granted because you've heard all these other we talk about the 90s music all the time, and grunge and bands like Nirvana and things like that, and Pearl Jam, and that was very progressive music at the time, and that would almost fit into kind of that like hard Jimi Hendrix guitar. But Jimi Hendrix was one of the first to have that sound. And from that whole generation, and if we go back before that, we think about like the Beatles, and then like who were the influences of the Beatles that took them into even the earlier days, and the legends of jazz, where all this really stemmed from jazz. That's like jam band music, and really just
and my personal
jamming.
Favorite, like funk and soul.
Yeah,
that's like kind of where I get
Who's your favorite?
down.
Who do you think? Who's coming to the top of your mind?
Jackson Brown.
Jackson Brown? That's funk and soul?
Funk and soul.
That was not who I was thinking.
Who are you thinking of?
Well, I think of funk and soul. I think like
second picks there. I knew you were gonna say Earth, Wind and Fire.
oh wow.
I knew you were gonna say Earth, Wind and Fire.
Well, so what I think about what brings me into that is about the people that have come before us. And I think about the people that have come before myself with this technology and the research that has come before me, dating back to the 80s. And even when I've been researching into these adaptogenic herbs, the first person to ever coin the phrase adaptogens was from 1956. A Russian toxicologist spoke about something called adaptogenic herbs and adaptogens.
Which happened to be my favorite. A lot of the ginseng and a lot of the Chinese. So I'm very into adaptogenic herbs. That's actually of all the different herbs, and I've actually done some classes on. I've taken a Chinese medicine class as well as a 10-week herbal healing class with Brigitte Mars. Shout out to Brigitte if you're watching this. I love you. And I really connect to ancient Chinese medicinal herbs. I feel like this strong, like maybe in a past life, like I was, worked with that medicine.
Sure.
And it's amazing that we can take herbs that help. So why are they called adaptogens? I think that's really what...
Well, they're adaptogens because they were shown to allow to curb the stress response.
Well, and what do? They help your body adapt to its changing environment. So adaptogenic herbs are classically known to be taken by people who are going into stressful environmental conditions so that their bodies can better adapt and better cope with what's happening around them. And they work incredibly well for that in terms of helping your body adapt to whatever it's experiencing. And I love adaptogens. Ron Teagarden is my guy for those, and I love a product that he makes called Super Adaptogen, and it's a mixture of different adaptogenic herbs, and I've had you take it.
They're very good.
And they work, don't
they? They do.
Don't they? Especially good for adrenal fatigue, which if you're touring and working hard, tends to...
Well, there's some new things that we're going to be talking about that for a future episode in that regards. But what I was wanting to go with this is that once something comes in that's new, it opens up the doors for all this new expansion. So there was, actually in the 60s, after that came out with the adaptogenic, there was over 1,000 papers written on adaptogens over between the early 60s and the early 80s. And so it's the same with Jimi Hendrix. Once the door opened with him playing this guitar the way it is, it inspired a whole new genre of musicians to start playing like Jimi Hendrix. And I feel that the people that have come before me that have been working in the world of vibroacoustics, that I have felt very inspired by them to bring this forward. And now I'm meeting people that are being inspired by me. And that's a big responsibility. And I feel very blessed that we can share not just the hardware, but the software. Because what I say is it's not about a vibrating bed, it's about the music. The music always has come first. And if you ask Jimi Hendrix, it's all about the music. And because the music is the medicine, and it can also be the poison. It's all depend on whether it's in resonance or in dissonance with your body. Mm-hmm. So on that note, do you have anything you'd like to share before we sign off for episode 11 of the Epic Vibe Show with Dr. Vibe?
Come vibe with us. We're going to be all over the place, and we would really like to vibe out with you.
Thank you. And my name is Dr. Stephen Schwartz, Dr. Vibe, and this is episode 11 of the Epic Vibe Show with Dr. Vibe. All of these episodes we're going to repost them all through our Bioharmonic Technologies Facebook page, and we're in the process of uploading them to our Bioharmonic Technologies YouTube channel, and you can watch all the past episodes 1 through 11, like Netflix. Hopefully Netflix will pick up this series, and we'll go from there. Anyway, if Netflix wants to pick up the Epic Vibe Show with Dr. Vibe, that's what's happening. And we will be here next week. In fact, stay tuned for who we announce. But the next 2 weeks, we have more amazing guests on the Epic Vibe Show with Dr. Vibe. You can follow us on all of the social media channels, Instagram, Bioharmonic Technologies, Facebook, Bioharmonic Technologies. I love when people follow me personally, Dr. Stephen Schwartz, DC, on Instagram, and Stephen Schwartz on Facebook. So I think that's it. So till next week, thank you so much. Peace out, and love, and high vibes, highest oscillations to you all. Blessings.